Welcome, one and all. It's a lovely afternoon here in my neck of the woods, and I've got a lovely set of games for you here. This is also a fairly old version, but that's okay. We're going to be looking at a series of 2v2s. We got Veeq7 and IskatuMesk against TheShambler, and what the fuck? That's not me. That's Keyan. He's frauding my name for some reason. So this is indeed on a map called Sinusoid, which is a map by none other than Veeq7 himself. And we do have a set of bases that are fairly safe. Like this one is obviously very low yield. Then this one over here. Wait, what? Big one you were harvesting. He's actually a 6? I don't... Oh, he's probably talking to... Yeah, I see what he's doing. He's talking to Mesk. These three over here in the back, obviously pretty good gas-only base. Fairly safe. Got this big connector in the middle. And I expect this to be drop central in the future, by the way. Mostly because a lot of people don't know about stuff like this. So you never know, man. A lot of people don't build structures there or anything. And then we have this base over here and this base over here, kind of like in the middle of wherever. And then there's like risky bases off to the side, big old open middle. We'll see what happens. We'll see where things go from there. And of course, now I've broken the minimap reveal for the resources. So there you go. There you go, some Confederate scum. Shambler scouting. All right, don't say that. We've got the Quasrock pool opener for Monsieur Mesk, who's also scouting. Veeq is also scouted. It looks like the Shambler took scouting duties. This Avaleth trying to hide from something. Is this going to be a proxy? Okay. I think it's because he has all this money. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Ah, gas deal. Well, this is off to a flying start. But don't worry, we got some Legionnaires. I think this might be the old Legionnaire animation where it's super derpy, but don't quote me on that. See how long that one takes. We do have a small spattering of Zerg units here. And this Avaleth, once again, hiding. I don't know what its purpose is. Keyan has some idea. Maybe this is where he started being a drop man. Scribe was sassed. Legionnaire is now poking the excisant. Yeah, it's dead. I can't actually tell if that I can't tell if the animation is the old fucked one or not. In any event, Shadow is definitely a fucked one, but we haven't fixed that yet. Double vulture opening here for Veeq. Dude, I'm glad we're seeing 2v2s, guys. I was saying this before. I want to see more 2v2s. We're getting more 2v2 maps. We're getting more players interested in general. So let's get some more 2v2 castovers. That's what I'm saying. Single mine drop over there from the first vulture. A second one on the way. Resources not there to fully sustain production. It looks like, oh, just barely. And now we have the Avaleth fully loaded. Got some Nathricors. Going to spot out from Mesk. What is there a response? No, he doesn't even see it. That might have been useful information. Now he can drop central. I guess Keyan really wants to drop. He doesn't want to put any units over here to protect himself against vultures. And now, yeah, there's a bit of a gangbang happening over here. Just all the units burrow instead of doing anything else. And now the mines are being placed. The mines were being focused. This mine will pop off. No, it won't. Okay. Well, the vultures can unburrow stuff. Meanwhile, the drop is going to equate damage, it looks like, although the Nats are going to be pretty much useless here, but there's no other protection, so the ground units are just going to annihilate Veeq's base, it looks like. Ooh! And meanwhile, there's a Hierophant over here not helping. The massacre of Masons continues. We do have 2 vultures coming out. Obviously, that should help. A single Nath coming back in, but there was another watchdog that was built. And meanwhile, the vultures have returned homo. And they will indeed carve a path over here. Oh, you could have focus fired a single Mason. But it wasn't to be. Not another Mason killed. Well, GG. Oh, that is pretty much GG, isn't it? So now it's just the Shambler here. I guess technically he could move his units down here, but Shambler doesn't seem to have moved his units whatsoever. Maybe he's paranoid about being attacked, but he obviously could kill the Nathricors quite easily with his Hierophants. He's missing microing quite a bit. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, if he liberates this base, yeah, he's just mad. He got dropped. The air units weren't even what did him, and it's just the Avaleth. Actually, he might just be commenting in general that the Nathrakors were Tismic. Okay. See, the Nathrakor being able to scout this is definitely awkward, right? Because now he it's known that Keyan might have a comeback mechanic or whatever. Vultures are allowed to come in because nobody walls their ramp. However, the mines do not actually get laid. They will blow up everything over there, though, so that's unfortunate. That's, what, 4 scribes? And, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. This was already fixed, but this is a fun bug. I actually don't know how that would have happened. Was this an aquifer earlier and I missed it? Oh, maybe it's because it was the Excision being mutated, and then it was tickled by a Legionnaire. Okay, yeah, we fixed that a while ago. We fixed that a little bit ago. The Hierophants obviously just seal the deal. As soon as they tickle the Vulture, they can catch it instantaneously, but I guess... I don't know, Shambler's micro has not been very good this game. I think maybe he's... this might have been when he was under the weather. Do have the Savaleth that can continue doing stuff. Yeah, Keyan is indeed harvesting more resources, but he's about to get punched. And this is, again, all because the Hierophants didn't actually kill the Nathrakor before it scouted that, right? So... Rogue Gallery is now being produced. We'll see what Shambler can do in this 2 versus 1 situation. Technically could still win. What's Veeq been doing? He expanded. Does he? How does he have nothing? I'm so confused. He still has just the 2 Fulcrums, but he has no money. I guess he just spammed Vultures? Oh, he has a single Goliath? No, I'm really confused. Meanwhile, the Hierophants are bullying Mesk. So they shut down mining over here, but obviously he's about to finish this base. He has this base over here in the top right, so he should actually be in an okay position. Meanwhile, the Vulture is just going to solidify this destruction of Keyan. And that will for 100% be GG, for him anyway. We do have a Barghest being trained at the Rogue Gallery. I guess that will be pretty successful if it has a couple variants there, right? This Spraith colony going to get focused down and eventually... I mean, if he doesn't kill it, it'll be turned into a Circuith, presumably, but he's going to kill it. And he can actually kill this army as well. I would just be focusing down the Quasrock pool, of course, if you can get in range without the Circuith tickling you, and then also maybe the Hatcherosk to solidify that, like putting him behind on one more base. But we'll see. He's sort of moving around now. Maybe he wants to start attacking these workers. Yeah, they're already preemptively burrowing. The mines are not super effective here. I guess they killed like 2 workers or 1 worker or something. Oh, there you go. There's 2 more. There's some silliness. A single Hierophant chasing the Goliath is a good one. Because he's trying to also occupy his stuff over here. Looks like he was able to kite backwards a little bit versus the Circuith. So that's good. This Goliath almost lost the fucking 1v1, even though... in theory, that shouldn't happen, just because he didn't have his... well, it shouldn't have been a 1v1 to begin with, right? So actually, yeah, that Larvos colony going to go down as well. Put Mesk's production capabilities behind a little bit. And yeah, the Matrix is over here, as well as the Warden. No focus firing on the workers. So that's pretty sad. He managed to get 1 last kill as a parting gift. Meanwhile, all these workers now getting tickled. Obviously, they're not focusing down that because they were stuck on the Hatcherosk, but they'll slowly start moving around again. More Vultures coming down. Obviously, there could be more Wardens, which there actually are going to be some more. He's got almost 400 minerals, so he could expand at some point. This is silly. This is very silly. The 2 Wardens over here definitely help. I think with more Legionnaires as well, to like for meat shields and stuff, that can definitely help. He's got to put another Warden behind the mineral line, which makes sense, but I think he should have more units. I'm surprised he doesn't have more... I'm really surprised he doesn't have more Barghests by now. He only has 1. I guess he may have forgotten to build them. Just checking to confirm that there's only 1 base. The Avaleth now scouting, doing what he can. Being quite amused by the situation, of course. Really surprised he didn't kill the Quasrock, but at this point I guess Mesk isn't a huge threat. I like that there's been 0 cooperation between these players, by the way. We saw like some cooperation trying to kill the workers at the beginning of the game from the bottom team, and that was pretty much it. Pretty silly. Now the Barghest actually went on the offensive instead of killing the Vultures. Not really sure what's up with that. There was a tier 2 up in the interim. And that will mean that Veeq can now achieve some smoochies. Some idle workers back here. Idle Barghest over here. In theory, the Phalanx is in a pretty good spot, but obviously you will potentially run into issues versus the Barghests. He still has no actual anti-air. Getting some Trojans for dropping them. I think he wants to break the defensive shell, but yeah, the Barghests are definitely going to make that a little bit harder. And if I'm Shambler, I would actually maybe sink more resources into them. But I don't know. I actually don't know where Shambler's Barghest is. Did it die? It probably died over here, maybe. Oh, no. Yeah, there it is. It's dead. It's a bit awkward. Still didn't kill the Quasrock pool with the Hierophants, by the way. I don't know why it hasn't occurred to him. Going for an embassy, presumably for detection versus the mines. But could also be something else. Now going to go for maybe an expo here. Just a pylon right now. Doesn't have the money to put down another base. Veeq does have the money to put down another base, and he will be taking the gas in the back. Is that a treasury? Yes, it is. Okay. Treasuries have recently been moved to tier 1 on pre-release, so check that out. I was talking about doing that a few castovers in a row, I think, now. Now the Vulture's coming in from the left. The single Goliath guarding the gas base. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot of stuff back at home. I mean, the Legionnaires will help clean this up, I think, but the Trojan with the double Phalanx can definitely help make this a little silly. Atlas revealing the Barghest. Confirms that stuff is happening over here. Yeah, okay, that Quasrock pool does get blown up and will eventually have to be rebuilt by Mesk, who is seeking to expand in the mid-left because nowhere else has been left to him by his ally. Then, yeah, not a whole lot of cooperation, huh, guys? Not a whole lot. There's a base going down over here in the bottom right for Shambler as he attempts to hold out. What is... I wonder what these players are looking at this point. A third Fulcrum has been constructed, but not producing off of all of them at once, so... With the gas over here, it should help Veeq attain greater heights. At this point, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't just eaten the fucking main. Now, the army has moved out at a pretty inopportune time, because, of course... the Phalanxes down here are going to just siege everything. I can't believe he actually lost that. Oh no, he's gonna lose the other one! Now, it's also because he's losing his main gas income right now, just so soon after trying to set it up. So, I can understand the rough situation here, but losing the Madrigals means that this is much more vulnerable to just like a Legionnaire. You just A-move with like 6 Legionnaires, you probably kill that because the Vultures aren't in a position to respond. We do have 2 Madrigals, more of them on the way, but I think this army will be able to finish them off here. The Legionnaires are going to suffer quite a bit to the... oh, never mind. The kiting backwards is obviously stupid against Legionnaires. But yeah, they're just immediately going to get jumped on. So I think maybe one of them will survive over here off in the corner. The Sentinels being set up are actually really good here for Veeq. So that will help quite a bit. Since the Legionnaires have all died and Hierophants do not have very good armor penetration. In fact, they have 0 armor penetration. Meanwhile, a Barghest will come in here and dissuade the rest of this attack. But obviously all the Scribes have been killed. So that is going to be a bit awkward. Yeah, Veeq almost floating 1,300 minerals now. In fact, some more reinforcements have come up, and very wise to split the attacking with the Hierophant is really good because obviously he's debuffing the attack rate of the Sentinels. So more are actually being set up, but of course the Mason is the one that you want to target in this situation. What is Shambler working on now? He's building another Barghest maybe? Synced question mark? Yeah, he's synced, he's just bad, remember? Dude, Shambler really likes to ask that question every single game. This one is burning down. I'm not sure if Veeq will notice. Yeah, fuck that watchdog. 2 more Hierophants on the way. Not going to be too useful here, but they maybe will tickle something or other. Yeah, not quite. I think the Phalanxes have all died. Oh, there's one sieged in here with a very low HP Trojan, which would be really funny to lose. And by funny, I mean heartbreaking. Some more defenses over there. I think he really needs to slam out way more Scribes at this point. He does have a Legionnaire army coming out over here. He's denied Mesk's only fucking extra bit of income because he obviously doesn't have the main. And an army has been pinged. There's obviously a bunch of mines over here. Yeah. Yeah, good one. Oh no! He went right into that one! Oh, Veeq. Now, he won't lose this magical, surely, but that was awfully close. A little bit of extra micro would have gone a long way there for Shambler to kill yet another magical. Each one of them 100 gas. Lycosilisks are out. That'll help against this particular army comp. Not so much against the air units, but that's what the Gorger Core is for, apparently. There was a witness out, but I don't remember where it was. Oh, it's over here in the middle of the base doing nothing. Okay. Always nice to see that. I had just finished recording the 68th episode of the Big Boys Table with Mesk, and one of the things that he had said, he was telling me, he's like, oh, when are you going to do those 2v2s? And I told him that's actually what's coming up next, and he was telling me a little bit of details about them, not with anything to spoil, just that they were very silly, and I can see what he means. This game is still going strong. Shambler on his second base, slowly resaturating his main, and I say slowly, he's not even... Oh, I guess he is fully saturated these ones. He's not fully saturating these minerals. I guess he's floating some minerals, but you would like to get a little bit more income. Maybe see if you can take any additional bases. Obviously, it's quite difficult, but something I've noticed is that nobody's really bothered trying to defend the ramps into their bases in this game. And obviously as Zerg, it's maybe a little bit hard. But as Protoss, obviously, you could have just dropped something over here. It's just that obviously when the air units came, then maybe they felt a little bit more pressure or something. But with how defensible this position actually is versus ground attacks, especially versus vultures, you'd think, staff your Quasilisks over here on this ramp as Keyan. And then your Hierophants Legionnaires can block this ramp, and maybe like 1 or 2 Hierophants can remain over here for the mineral line or something, and that can probably do you pretty well, right? Your multi-role units can station in the worker line and so on and so forth. Gorgon Corps is narrowly going to miss this army rotation, so I think this Atrosk is just going to get nuked again. So that's pretty funny. Now Vassals have spotted a Trojan. I'm not sure if they are attacked onto the unit, so what is Veeq's response to that is the question. That's not the important Trojan. The important Trojan is down here. And, yeah, is it any surprise? There's a single burrowed Zethicor down here, which is kind of funny. Some army movement, but really nothing special. That Hatrosk is going to go ahead and get owned. And the Trojan does die, but this one with the Phalanx still in it is totally fine. Gorgon Corps finally come back up, making the long journey to tickle these units, and now they'll just sort of start moving away. If there were more bar guests, you would actually say that maybe they could take on the Gorgon Corps, but currently, not really the case. This magical coming very, very late. Obviously, Infuriate mode would have helpfully dissuaded that attack. I think Keyan Zavaleth must have died a heroic death at some point. Now he's just spectating. He's not really seeing this part, but I'm sure if he did, he would be quite amused, since Veeq has the reservoir, but not actually harvesting anything from it, besides with 1 worker. Witness will come over here and confirm the position of this base. Now, Mesk trying to take another base. I think he's got enough power here that he can probably kill the Spraiths. Unfortunately for him, his multi-target was not good. If he selected this target, he would have been doing some multi-target over here against the other one. But obviously, as it stands, it's a little bit awkward. And yeah, he should be focusing down the ones that is actually mutating into a Spraith, rather. Speartith maybe a little bit out of Mesk's depth currently. Yeah, so he's not really going to do too much damage and is going to lose, I think, 4 bar guests for that attack. Wow. Maybe one of those was a vassal, but quite significant, right? Decent amount of gas per one. He's floating 1,000 minerals. Obviously has a grand library out, now can start fielding Atriuses to deal with some of these Terran units. But there's a pretty big mech army slowly walking across the map, and I'm sure that will be enough to break him eventually. You would think. More Barghests out, more Atriuses out, that's crowd control in multiple forms, and obviously Vultures themselves cannot deal with any air units. The Cyclops and the Madrigals should be good if they can get close enough, and obviously the Barghests do have very limited range, right? And Shambler doesn't really have a good idea of where the units are. Sequestered Icon coming out, that can be pretty good. I mean, obviously you imagine some Acantors, but I think it's just going to come too late. And if those Gorgon Corps can remain on the defensive or even join in with the attack, as we can see, it makes total sense to do that. But with the knowledge that they lack, it maybe doesn't make as much sense. Now, this army moving out in the other direction is maybe a little bit awkward because, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a little bit strange. Timing-wise, this could be quite difficult. Yeah, I'm saving gas too. So yeah, he can afford to go for the Daedala now. Now moving backwards. I don't know what he's doing here. Now, the ground army is going to come in. There's only 3 circuits over here and 3 Gorgon Corps as well. So that'll be potentially somewhat interesting here. The Atriuses should deal with the Gorgon Corps. And the Legionnaires can slowly, especially with the Gorgacores not attacking them, can definitely pick apart the circuits, although it looks like this was a little bit of a flubbed engagement here. A little bit of kiting backwards is definitely helpful. Didn't pick off this structure before it actually mutated, so yeah, that will obviously be something of a fight. Maybe he can pick off that Kagrin completely, but he's losing all the Atriuses. He's losing them no matter what because of the Vultures, right? Kind of surprised Veeq didn't lay mines earlier, but I thought he had already done that, and that's why he wasn't laying them earlier, but actually, I guess a decent number of his Vultures have some mines in them. Okay, so he could definitely be doing more of that. He still hasn't used this. Did he just forget about this, or what? Saving it for a rainy day. Meanwhile, over here, another attack force has been sent out. There is a Circuit over here, and obviously this is close to some unit production. There's only the Zorkiz. He only has the ability to build Gorgacores, Aristaleths, and Lakizilisks. I wonder where the Lakizilisk... Oh, it died. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering, where could that be? So, yeah, a little bit awkward. The double Avaleth, I'm not sure if he was planning on dropping Lakizilisks or something. Obviously, this is pretty well defended, right? So, bit of a pipe dream for that. So maybe he was just using him for detection versus the Barghest. That makes a little bit more sense. And yeah, the Kagrin colony will not be able to mutate into a Circuit. These units will be able to withstand well, maybe actually with no micro, they might end up falling. Obviously, as soon as that happens, yeah, he has to split it. And so yeah, he'll be able to riposte that attack. This Phalanx was rediscovered. Lost technology. And some mines being put down over here. Meanwhile, obviously, I think there's still a witness in the general vicinity over here. Yeah, it's right here. He can build another one if he needs to. I believe he's got one queued up. Yep. Ah, dude, the old Vagrant. It's been a while since I've seen... Oh, wait, no, it's the old Vagrant icon, but it's the new Vagrant Sprite? Question mark? Yeah, I probably just didn't upgrade the icon. That's okay. This pylon slowly being whittled down. As you can see, it takes a little bit of time, right? Yeah, here comes the witness to detect those. A bit risky to even bother using the Trojan in this context because obviously you don't have the... He had the witness and he just moved it too far away, so obviously all the mines just got blown up. Oh, there you go. The whole thing got instantly incinerated. I'm really surprised he didn't attack with his entire army. Like, look at all these units he has. What is he doing? Now an ion cannon going down. Meanwhile, do they get a single Gorgacore kill? Oh! Oh! No. Almost. The bugs were almost enough to kill the bugs. Alright, surely this big army attack will finally put Shambler to bed. He built the sequestered icon, but does not have any units that come from it. I thought maybe the Envoy might have it stored away inside, but not the case. More Atrius is being produced. He just doesn't have any resources, right? I think one of the problems that I supposed would happen here... Oof! And off they go. I have to do another coloration pass on the Vagrant to make the shade make sense. Oof. I'll see you later. Yeah, I think this Big Mac army will just wipe the floor with this. Doesn't even cancel that, doesn't need to. Yeah. Shambler is in the same boat as me, I think. He had some pretty good situations where he was able to actually attack Mesk and sort of deny him, but he didn't focus on Veeq, who was definitely there for the taking since he had such poor defenses in a bunch of different spots. But I think the answer is just bad. It's all right. It's a point that we can all improve upon in the future. So we get to see the glorious end of this first match. There are two more for me to cast. And one of them is short and one of them is long, as so I've been told. And Thelians. Yeah, that's what he was secretly hiding, of course. Well, that's obviously not true. He did some pretty good damage in the early attacks. Obviously killed Mesk's entire main. Denied his third. and denied the gas base over there. Where did the ion cannon land? A couple of them are over here, okay. Oh, it's off. Off it goes. Oof! I don't know why he gets so angry all the time. And if he's not angry, it certainly seems like he is. But yeah, very silly. Hey, the Icantor finished. Ooh! It's dead. It got aggroed onto the ion cannon. Very sad. And that is game number 1. It was stupid. And you know what? I think Keyan deserved to die first for trying to be me. Obviously, you can't be me, dude. That's stupid. And all right, up next is game number 2, so stay tuned. And we're back with game number 2. I don't know how good that was. You guys can tell me in the comments. How seamless was that? You know what I mean? So we do have Canada. We do have Sinusoid once again. Now Veeq and Mesk are on the bottom, and Shambler and Keyan are on the top. Keyan's still trying to be me, which is silly. He didn't play as well as I did, but maybe he'll... Hey, he figured it out. Maybe he'll play exactly as well as I do as Protoss. I'm not very good at Protoss. So this map has a part of its layout. I started to talk about this in the previous game, but looking at this map and looking what happened in the previous map, it's actually really obvious that the... obvious to me anyway, that the... this ramp is super far away, and you have to deal with air attacks coming in from the, the middle, drop attacks, whatever. You can criticize the game state for air units being available so early, but in a 2v2, you're going to have more likely somebody try to rush that anyway, right? So it kind of makes sense that it would happen to begin with. We will have a Quasrock opener again, once it looks like, for Mesk. And so, yeah, I think when this is scouted, we will probably see a similar situation in the previous title. Double pylon, then a Cenotaph. Okay, both of the Protoss players going Cenotaph here. And Fulcrum opener for Veeq. Okay, it's very simple. But what I was getting at there is, because this is not super defensible, if you don't have a strict defender's advantage, you will probably get gangbanged by 2 players, right? One of them can go a greedy strategy, and the other one can go a more conventional timing attack. And as a result, you will see, what we saw in the previous game, where Vultures and Nathricors show up on one player, and the other guy is probably too far away to defend. And the way into the base is, a little bit too difficult. Hard to successfully defend this and your mineral line at the same time, right? And in a 1v1, I can understand why some people would say, dude, it's kind of OP that Zerg can have air units or whatever, right? But in a 2v2, you can't really legislate against that without actually locking all air behind tier 2, because somebody can, again, go for some sort of greedy, like a Terran player, Veeq could go Starpad Bio or something, right? And play kind of defensively until his rates are ready to join Mesk conventional ground attack. And that's something that can just happen, and you can't really worry about that, right? Owned. Ideally, the teleport would not break like that, but whatever. Rogue Gallery opener, that was scouted, of course. A burrowed Droleth here for Mesk. Gonna go ahead and bring his other one back. What else do we got here? Another Kagran colony. The answer to this question, by the way, is it should be able to. I hope so, anyway. However, it's kind of old. A very old ability. And I'm not really sure. So, you'd have to verify that. It was supposed to be able to, though. That was an intentional... the intention of the design is that, right? This is an interesting rally point for your Vulture. Yeah, it is. I think part of the Legionnaire handling is written in Rust by Iquare, so... hard to know. But I think a lot of it was revised anyway, so... hopefully it does work that way. And if not, hopefully it can be revised to work that way. Now we do have a Matrix and a Pylon, so pretty heavy on the defense. I forgot to comment that obviously Keyan here has gone for a Fast Warden at the ramp. And he's got enough units over here that I don't really think these Vultures are going to do anything. The double Fulcrum opener once again going for that early aggression. Now obviously air units can significantly hurt this. The Spider Mine will go down, but another one was laid at the expansion. So an embassy should be forthcoming from at least one of these players. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to be the poor sap who has to do that. But again, you can kind of see, the fact that you're not defending your ramp, you can criticize this as maybe a bad strategy by the Shambler. But, he's also paranoid about air units, right? So At this point, he's going to cede the high ground advantage fairly quickly, I think. Especially when the vultures start showing up. He's very slow to respond to this. The vultures are also kind of suiciding. Okay, I don't know what the Shambler is doing right now. Oh, he was attacking with the Barghest, and he looked back and his entire army was dead. Yeah, so this is a bit silly. I don't know how he managed to throw that one so heavily, but yeah, if he can pick off the Quasis... Oh, I don't know why he would... Wait, he actually left. Dude, he literally still had units fighting. Meanwhile, Keyan's sitting here like, I guess... What the fuck? Like... Didn't he have another Barghest flying up here somewhere? Maybe not. It's a little late to call Barghest after the guy who has them already left the game, but yeah, you know. All right, well, Keyan, it's your turn to be the Shambler. You've got the top left base. It's very silly. He does have some defenses, but it'll be a little bit rough. He's a little bit slow on the draw. Does go a little bit forward here. The vultures are going to be the biggest threat, of course. They can try to focus down the Matrix, and indeed they will. That's what we call karma. So, yeah. Good one. Maybe that could be the thumbnail. You never know. I don't know. Yeah, it's really weird. There was a scribe over here. You can see the corpse right there. That's why the mine detonated there. It's really weird that the Shambler left in this situation. Like, obviously, you know, he's going to be losing some workers or whatever, put on the back foot. But he had a Barghest coming back from home. He had another Barghest here. He had some units. Like, he just really bungled this by not responding to the minimap, not responding to the your units are under attack notification. I guess maybe there's an outside chance he didn't actually get the notification. That seems really unlikely. But, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty silly. Oh, hey, something that we could probably add, by the way, is selecting a pylon might give you the pylon overview if you're a witness or in the replay. That might be useful for figuring out, like, what the radiuses of those are, radii. Might be good. More Quasis are on the way. Mesk now taking a natural expansion. Veeq still comfortable with his current economic situation, but will be taking an expansion and indeed has thrown it down. Do have an Aquifer warping in for Keyan, who is now, again, just exactly 100% like the Shambler in the last game. His units are a little bit distant. Obviously, they have to spend a little bit of time. They're not really in a good position with the Legionnaires being on the other side, but they will be pulled over to respond. There you go. The mine gets focused down. The Legionnaires are in a bit of an odd position there, but okay. Yeah, it wants to fall back and let the Matrix and Warden help with the Quasis for sure. But yeah, I think the Hierophants are just going to pop down, and this will most likely be the GG call. Oh, there is a Panoptis. Oh, no, that's an Aurora. I just assumed when somebody's using a Stargate, they're probably building a Panoptis. But Pylon's being focused down at this point. That Matrix will go down once again. And, yeah, it's also unpowered anyway, so... Well, I guess that Matrix wouldn't have been unpowered by this, right? But, yeah. Instantly cucked. I guess the base damage of the Aurora might need to be increased. Or maybe their attack rate or something. Yeah, so this is just bullying. I like that the mines are being laid in such a fashion that Veeq is getting zero use out of them. Like, if anything, they just cause his own units to die. That's pretty funny. Obviously, this Vulture is so low, you could just send a single scribe to, like... Oh, I guess it wouldn't reach from that corner, but... Somehow, some of these scribes survived that mine. Shocking. Now, he does technically have the space... Oh, man. There's no harvesters over there. Okay. I thought maybe there would be more units over in that direction, but... Yeah! Mesk. Why you gotta bully that guy? There you go. And the dust settles. Keyan can train 3 more workers. And that's 3. He does kill the Vulture. And... Okay. Oof. Killed before it could even blow up. Yeah, the Aurora Last Orders is actually one of the very few... Oh my god, look at this. It was a massacre. Alright, it's finally not a massacre. Well, it is. It's a massacre of Keyan. Amazing. How long until they realize he's got the space in the top left? You guys reckon? Is it coming? Will the warden finish? I think it will. There's very, very mean people. Yeah, I think this game was definitely just the Shambler. Shambler being a silly boy. At least we got to see some funny mine antics, but I think Shambler just being dumb over here is definitely what cost him. Hey, there's the bar guest. It was cloaked. 3 GG. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of 3 GG, let's go to game 3. Wait, I can't do that because I have to use my mouse to stop recording. 3. And we're back. Game 3. This is the final one, the final frontier. We have both Terrans for Veeq and Mesk. And we have Zerg for Keyan and Zerg for Shambler. So let's see what we got. This is actually a TVZ. A TTVZZ. I guess in Brood War, 2v2s, you actually need a Zerg on your team. Kind of wild. Apparently that's what I've been told about the meta anyway. Hi, Druck. We'll see what happens. I believe, I have to imagine Keyan went random and Shambler went Z, and I know Veeq has gone T deliberately every game, and I think maybe Mesk just randomed into Zerg twice before rolling a Terran. First scout will be from the Shambler, but equally followed by Mesk almost immediately, who might look to do some silly proxy shenanigans. You never know, man. You never know. So because I was told there was a middling game, which apparently was our first one, and a short game, which was definitely our last one. This must be the long one. So strap in, boys. This is the promised land, the mammoth task. The big one of the day. Veeq also sending out a scout. I'm actually not sure how I feel about both players scouting. Like, maybe if it becomes the meta that only one player scouts, then you could see like, oh, I scouted their scout, their team scout is on the right side, so now go build a proxy on the left, and then like it couldn't maybe not get scouted, but you could just do that over here anyway, right? And most people wouldn't see it, so I don't know. I feel like it's probably fine for one player to scout on each team instead of it being both, unless the enemies are really far away or something. Shambler narrowly of escaping early cuck death by losing his scout worker. The longer you can keep your scout alive, the better. Will be a Hydrock opener here with a Larvosk follow-up, but of course that means that there's no resource to actually build any units. It'll be a Skithracore opener as well. Mesk doing some tickling. Losing almost half of his HP for that, and the workers being somewhat mishappy. They just abandoned working on any sort of gas harvesting entirely, and I suppose that's because he wants to pump into a very fast, like Zethracore approach or something. It's actually going to be Quasis. Maybe they're scared of air. He might be remembering when Mesk used a bunch of Wraiths against me in that one game. Skithracore reveals itself by killing one of the Scout Masons. First Vulture will just go ahead and lay a mine and then return home. Kind of a puzzling move, actually. If you know that there's only skits, or like so far there's only skits, you would actually think maybe you would want to use the vultures aggressively, keep the skits on the other side of the map, cleaning them up, maybe get some good worker kills, and then as that's happening, you can build, you know, Goliaths as he's doing, or Cyclops, or whatever. He's actually stayed on one Fulcrum, which has let him, you know, obviously it's a slower route, but it does give him a little bit of opportunity, I think, to get earlier anti-air and stuff, right? Each Goliath is the cost of a Fulcrum, so definitely need to deal with that. Finally, the Shambler, realizing this ramp is important, is going to go ahead and station some units over there. And now the skits will be on their way. A single Watchdog for Veeq, and a bunker with no units in it, and a Watchdog for Mesk as he shuffles his Fulcrum. He built this back here to avoid it being scouted. But yeah, at this point, they're quite well insulated from any attacks from Keyan. Even going to almost lose the Skithracore. He's going to come over here. Maybe he'll get away with a single worker kill. Indeed he will, but he's actually going to lose all but one of his 3 skiths. So that's no good. The Tickle King. I tickle men. I'm not really sure what he's talking about. I guess it's because, oh, the vulture came down. And, oh, and fucking annihilated, brutalized idiot moron. Holy shit, that was a blast from the past. All right, it's going to be Quasrock follow-up. So I'm guessing we'll see, like, Hydrox Zethracore for this. Not really sure, or Hydralisk Zethracore is what I meant to say. Actually not sure what Keyan plans here. It's actually quite distracting to read my, like, part of my own name in the fucking, you know, unit panel and then try to remember that that's Keyan, because I almost, for some reason, I'm always saying TheShambler. I don't know why. Well, it looks like there will be, that was a nice spin. Veeq showing off his Starcraft 2 moves there. Three Goliaths, 3 Vultures. That's 3. It's going to be a CC in base, and will presumably be lifted over here. Although, actually, he could lift this over to this base or this base, and then take this base in ground, like on location. Skithercore just scouting around. Actually does cause some grief, right? Maybe this is why you build it inside your base. So that can't happen. So that's pretty cheeky. That's good use. Nice broken tile. That's good use for the Skithercore, right? It wasn't really going to be offering too much up. So nice for Keyan to get a little bit of value there. I didn't catch if that worker was just wounded by default, or like if it had been harassed earlier or something. I don't think it had been. So, but maybe it was like the scout worker or something. No, the scout worker for Veeq died, so it couldn't have been that. We do have an Obeleth for TheShambler. He's going to use it to clear out the mines, of course. I actually worry that the Zethicor Vorvicor opener here is just going to die horribly to like a single mine or something if Keyan himself does not go for anything. He could face check with the Iziricors and then burrow them, of course. That could be one way that you do it without bothering to spend the gas on an Ovaleth, but as the Vulture count continues to increase, that becomes less and less reliable, especially since you need your Iziricors to soak up the front line, right? So these are all considerations. I was actually thinking the Iziricor might be in a spot where it needs maybe like -1 armor, and then that might be enough to make it a little bit more sensible. Because it does have 140 health, and if you want to safeguard, we talked a little bit about this in the latest Big Boys table that is going up probably tomorrow on the day that you're watching this, so maybe the 24th it'll be available. But yeah, we talked about how if you want to safeguard against damage broadly, you increase health, and if you want to safeguard against damage from earlier tier units, you increase armor, and that's sort of how you would go about doing it. That's just the current paradigm, though. We'll see how devastating this first mine may or may not be. He doesn't have any ranged units to actually deal with it. Is obviously the concern. But maybe Keyan can actually feel somewhat considerate and just like content rather, and just take more bases. Right, take this base, get onto 4 bases, and start really pumping out units. Zerg doesn't really mind that, right? Shambler will use some Skithercores. He will reveal the Vulture drop that's happening. I'm not sure if he caught that. Obviously, losing out on actually revealing the location of Veeq's Vultures as well is pretty nice. So. Yeah, that hasn't been communicated through the text channel, and we know Shambler doesn't speak, so actually I don't think that he would have caught it. He does have 3 bases, though, so he's doing all right for himself. A single Hydra, a second Iziricor, and the Skithercore back hanging out with the homies. Hasn't been disposed of just yet. 450 minerals in Iziricors is now out, and the Vulture drop is a go. So yeah, not having the Skithercores to chase down the Trojans is going to be a little bit regrettable. But even just trailing it with 1 should be enough to at least get him some ideas. The number of circuits over here, I mean, if they come up through this ramp, they're probably going to get pot shot by this one. They can only take, I think, is it 4 shots of a... let me just click this. Yeah, it's 5, actually. Yeah, drop in the back. It's sounded off. I don't know why he's even saying yes. I heard that mine killed 3... Zethicors, it looks like. And the Vultures actually are not going to come up through the ramp. They are just going to go ahead and lay some mines. Or try to. No, he targeted a mineral field with it. That doesn't work. Oh, it didn't have mines. I don't know what it was doing then. No, it's just a single set. Maybe the first one did, and that was getting confusing. All right, killing 4 workers is not bad, considering how bungled the mine was. Getting owned. I don't know, man. Looking at this, trying to surmise the details. We do have a barracks. We do have this base eventually being taken by Mesk, it looks like. Going for a watchdog. Neither player is really looking like they're close to tier 2. Starpad being built by Veeq has his natural and his back third. This base finally being set up over here. I thought that might have been a macro hatch, but nope. And yeah, Keyan taking his third now. Oh, Iral Iris is actually already purchased by the Shambler, so check that out. Very low on saturation here. A lot of units, but they're walking up against like 10 Goliaths, so that's pretty rough. Good anticipation of the presence of spider mines, so that's pretty nice. Even the Skithacor is still helping out quite a bit. Softening up the vultures as well is not bad. Uh-oh, the mines are going to burrow and just kill like 5 Zethacors. Not crazy, but not not crazy good either. And yeah, not enough Iziracors to splash the Masons either, so there's just so many Goliaths, right? That's actually one of the reasons why Veeq doesn't have enough money for tiering up, is because of all of the Goliaths. Meanwhile, an Atlas is being constructed. I was thinking we should probably try to get some good renders of, like... First of all, we should re-render the Atlas and the Daedala, because they are tier structures. They're very significant now. And second of all, we should definitely see about, like, making it so they have custom almost built frame or construction frames and stuff, so that as soon as you see it, you know, oh shit, that's an Atlas, right? I think that'll help solidify its importance, right? Space still not really being resaturated. Finally going to go ahead and cap that, but only had one guy harvesting from this ridge this whole time. I think this Hatrosk is slightly out of place, but it shouldn't matter too much besides for these resource nodes, one of them obviously being the ridge. So I guess that is somewhat significant. Nobody's taken the back gas base on the south team. Meanwhile, Veeq going ahead and going for the top middle one. So yeah, we have a little bit of action over here. We got a little bit of a long game, a little bit of a back and forth. That Trojan did drop some vultures, but it just resulted in question marks. He was not super happy about that. Another command center being built. This will lift off over here or for the double gas base. Not sure which. We do have some machine shops being placed because the Atlas has finished. So second to tier 2. First one being, of course, the Shambler, who has gotten to Gorgor Swamp and Leveril Pond. Big fan of that. One thing you can do to tell if the mines have dropped is because if they die, they will play like a different death sound, right? Or they'll play the default mine death sound, I think. But yeah, you can tell. Keyan not fully operational here on his third base yet. Definitely in the weakest economic position of any of the players here, I believe. Good anti-drop, anti-crowd measures. Actually, you don't even really need this over here because you have all of these, right? So that's kind of neat. Neat aspect about the map is that by taking this, you incidentally defend this from air, assuming your opponent, or your ally rather, has some stuff over in this side. I guess technically they could probably find some way to thread the needle, so maybe it's safe to throw some over there. Another scouting party just confirms more Goliaths. Is there an Atlas on the way? It doesn't look like it. Veeq is remaining at tier 1 for quite a while. Now, this gas should help him with that, but he's not fully saturated it yet. And this base obviously will also help him with that because it does contain a geyser, which he has seemingly oversaturated. So, sight, if it were sight unseen, maybe it would be more powerful and unsuspecting. But at this point, with the phalanxes up, with the general situation set up for the Terran player on the right, that's Mesk, of course. Shambler will be able to defend that. Another attempted vulture drop does kill seemingly 4 workers. Not really the end of the world. Definitely could drop like a Circuit here, a Spraith here, Spraith here. And yeah, tier 2 has been achieved by Keyan as well. So actually Veeq is the only player who isn't at tier 2. He is slowly getting it. Does say hi. I don't know what that was about. Maybe he found some more units or something. And there you go. 4th being taken for Mesk as well. So just about all players up to 4 bases. Keyan being the one lagging behind currently on that. But the Shambler is capping this one up, saturating it with his workers. So he's in a pretty good spot. Has the upgraded Scortriths. Has a Speartith over here. Isn't going to morph that into anything just yet, but I imagine it'll be a Scortrith or something in the future. And yeah, we are going to see another static defense structure be set up over there. This base finally getting saturated. Has he saturated his main? He's still very low on mineral income from his main. But that being said, you look at the Terran team and they just have an insane amount of resources that they aren't spending. Finally, machine shops coming out for Veeq, who is queuing up some more units with his other fulcrums, going up to 6 fulcrums now, which we like to see. Still only 4 for Mesk, who's actually got 1.6k. Looks like maybe there was going to be an attempt at going for a Madrigal drop here. But I think there's enough static defense on the side of... Jesus. Okay, there's definitely going to be enough static defense on the side of the Shambler. I think in games like 2v2s especially, it would be really useful to know where people are looking. So when we end up syncing screen positions, it's going to be a big help. I think they keep typing in full, like, yeah, they're definitely doing that. It's very silly. So Veeq has his eyes set on this base. You can tell just because he's building this command center. It's the only place left to go. I'm not sure if Mesk is doing the same thing. He hasn't actually saturated his fourth this entire time, which is a bit funny. Keyan hasn't even taken it. Every time I look over here, there's more cocoons, so I actually thought there was, like, bugs, and they were just, like, bugged in there or something. I was like, oh, shit, did the replay break or something? No, he's actually got a big calculus armada that he will certainly sweep through this top left side. Actually, very limited defenses over here. We do have a triple starport, but nothing actually coming out of it yet. Queued up a bunch of vultures. 4K minerals and 800 gas. So could actually go for salamanders maybe at this point. Just grab that tier 2.5 and jump over to it. And is indeed going to do that. He's actually going for Valks. I don't know if he sighted air units or what, but yeah, this is getting into a very, very durable late game, I think. We do have a captaincy, the first of its kind, I think, for the team. Suspect nukes, by the way, but there is actually a silo with a nuke in it. Question is, does he go for the barracks or does he go for the star pad? Oh, clearly he's going for the Eidolon. It is in the Trojan, so that's good. The first steps are being placed. A lot of units out here for Veeq, but not really using them just yet. You could say the same for the Shambler. Even Keyan has a decent amount of Zephyr cores. Even more Calculusks, going up to probably like 3 or 4 control groups. This is something that I've noticed about a lot of players. They do this wacky thing, right? Where they're like, hey, let's do... Let's spend like 4 or 5 minutes constructing an army, and then I'll go attack with it. And yeah, oftentimes the army will die. Because you weren't really being proactive on the map or whatever, right? Now, Trojan is going to spot the flock of Calculusks. He has some Valks, but I'm not sure that that'll be sufficient, especially if they're focused down, right? There's only 3 of them after all. However, they aren't being focused down, and there's a million stacks. Even still, the Valkyries are in a good enough spot. You know, there's only one low HP one left. Maybe they can pick off this command center and delay the scaling of Veeq's power. And then, yeah, as soon as they pick that off, they are queued to... move back. Meanwhile, Mesk is holding off a very heavy arsenal of Shambler units, many of which are like spinning, trying to attack this because Brood War is very good. Vultures will go ahead and try to lay some mines. Bactylisks will, of course, deal with those quite well. And actually, there are some Bactylisk casualties, but for the most part, the expensive units have stayed alive for the Shambler. He just needs to replenish the mineral meat, as it were. A bunch of Calculusks now going over to see if they can help more surgical strikes. And now an Eidolon nuking this spot. Veeq may want to look at this for balance, but I don't know. Oh shit, the Calculusks could have helped, but oh no! He didn't even move his units, even though he spotted it. So he is going to lose a decent amount there. Now the Calculusks will sync up with some of the Shambler army, although most of it is actually in shambles. Now this fourth will be denied. There goes the Antseal as well. I don't think they're going to burst this, but the Calculusks are also not really respecting the range of the structures. Some more stuff over here. Obviously the Valkyries are here to try to chase them off. My Zero Cores could interrupt them a little bit. Another nuke going down in the same spot. The Obelisk can come down now, if he remembers where it is. He's losing his units over here, but he's doing a little bit of incidental damage. And the Calculusks are over here as well. That Eidolon will die. And the Valkyries are continuing to move around. Meanwhile, a mech army now on the side of Keyan. A bunch of Overcores are here to slow it down. Some Calculusks as well in the back, especially now that he's lost everything over here to the Valkyrie swarm. He should definitely focus all of his attention on trying to deal with this and see what he can do there. Calculusks have 7 range. They're not meant to be artillery units, so I don't know why he would be complaining about Sentinels. But you know what? He's too busy typing to use his units. Of course. Now, the biggest part about this fight is that the Madrigals have died. If the Madrigals were still intact, then this fight would be more dangerous. But the biggest thing that they've established is that Keyan doesn't have a 4th. So actually, that's pretty big. Obviously, narrowly living with 8 HP. Okay, so just a little bit of additional silliness there. A single mine left on the side of the map, and that Goliath will indeed go down. All of the Valks are here. Definitely needs to invest into some sort of ground-based anti-air, maybe Bactylisks of his own, although obviously they don't do super hot against that. What I would recommend actually is 2.5 into Kagralisks. We do see the 2.5 being mutated here by the Shambler. And there is an Apostle also being trained. Oh, I can already tell you what's happening, what's going to happen over here. This is going to happen over here. I don't think these are going to decay in time. Very, very funny. Now, the mech army is moving out to secure this location. I don't think they're actually going to go push for an attack, but Mesk is also going to be doing something similar. Has to rebuild this base, has to build maybe another one to get a 5th base operational. Oh, it looks like the corpses did actually evaporate in time. So we're saved from that at the very least. And yeah, he will be building it actually on location, using these forces as a bit of a defense. More Kagran colonies being put down. The tier 2 defense is going to be operational shortly here. And yeah, I'm sure this bottom Zerg team is going to feel rather boxed in and contained at this point. There's just not really a whole lot of action in the period following the early game, like that in-between period as you scale into tier 2 for everybody. There wasn't really a whole lot of harassment on either side. And Terran is the one where you kind of need to take the fight to them. So that wasn't really happening, and now they've been allowed to secure both of the central bases. And obviously Mesk can go ahead and lift his CC and land it over here, as he's doing. And yeah, at this point we're seeing the numbers. 125 military units, 100 workers, that's Veeq. He's clearly leading the leaderboard, as it were. His ally not that far behind. Keeping tabs with Shambler, actually, in terms of military count. But Zerg want way more military units. So actually this is surprisingly effective. Don't mind my minimap hooligans. And yeah, I think that Apostle is going to get focused down. Indeed it will. So there's good denial of this base over here, but I don't think that that Keyan will be as successful with all the Valkyries. Now we do have Salamanders being created, and meanwhile some Vultures are being done. So this is actually a fairly action-packed back and forth game, all things considered. The tier 2 army is going to be going ahead and fighting, but I don't think that there's enough front line, and the front line is actually not even in position. The Tetzoricors finally making their move, sort of waddling along Chad style, but a Dragon of Mine and everything, but not really going to be enough, I don't think. They haven't really pierced any of these phalanxes. Okay, one of them has gone down, and maybe they'll be able to clean up the others. Yeah, in fact, they will. I'm actually really surprised that Keyan was able to do much damage over in this situation. Quite shocking. I think maybe it's because Veeq's APM was over onto this side trying to defend Mesk from further onslaught by the Shambler. Mine goes down, but mostly kills Vultures. Not really the best situation to be in. Now here come the Salamanders. Obviously, if you split up these so that they don't die to the splash, you can certainly focus down the Salamanders with sufficient Bactylisk amounts. Indeed, it looks like the first one is going to go ahead and die, but here come the Vultures. Not really a huge front line. The Zorislets are here, but they're not really doing consume or anything, so they're not going to keep the Bactyls healthy at all. And more Salamanders are here to riposte this attack. Veeq's base will remain operational for the time being, and not really a whole lot of loss either way. Actually, not a huge amount of units left here for Keyan as well, so a counterattack could be swift and quick. Those are two words that mean the same thing, if you guys didn't know. Command center being rebuilt. That will be earmarked for this position eventually. Another attack force coming in, but of course there's so many reinforcements. Veeq's production arm is now focused entirely on rallying units over here. And you needed an equivalent army to what you started with, Keyan, if you wanted to breach that position, I think. Maybe a little bit more heavy on the anti-air, but phalanxes being established as well are not going to be super helpful for him. Now, Shambler is trying to once again do some more damage. Looks like whatever frontline might have been existing for these phalanxes for Mesk was evaporated. And the Zorisleth's doing really well at soaking up the damage. Big fans of that. Now, the command center is canceled. I'm not really sure why. Certainly could have used it to repost the meat over here. A couple more phalanxes are still here, peppering down the Zorisleth, so that won't be, yeah, that's not going to be able to push too far deeper. More Vultures on that side. Good mind control over here on this bridge in the middle in their territory so that they know that their middle is not really being used on this side anyway. Because this base is very vulnerable otherwise. If these mines weren't here, you could just run a bunch of ground units over here. Run over the bunker, run over the bunker's empty, actually. Run over the Sentinels and the 3 phalanxes and just sort of pick off this base, right? Which would be prime real estate there. Keyan's still not able to take this fourth. He's so far behind, but he has 4K minerals, so he's not really spending the money that he does have. You can see here his unit count is quite low. The unit count of the Zerg, of all the Zergs, is actually quite significant. Because neither of them have more than their Terran counterpart. Eidolon once again nuking this base. It's going to mostly kill workers, which can be replenished fairly easily. It's not going to deal critical damage to the infrastructure. Cleric healing the Phalanx is pretty big, and I think the Apostle is only finally now going to be able to use something. I did hear an ion cannon shot that is going to clear out the front line there. And there you go, you got some Zerg units. So, happy days for him. He's going to replace the Vultures, which unfortunately right now I guess now that we have the Corpse EXT, we can store the mine count as a variable for that and replenish the Vulture with the mines it had on death instead of the stupid shit that we had before. All these clumped up units are going to be ion cannon fodder, surely. Oh, Zethikor is doing surprisingly well, able to stay alive for a decent amount of time. Now, the Vithrilisks are in a pretty good position here because the ion cannon isn't firing on them. But they aren't really focus firing, and now here come the Valkyries. The Calculusks making these even more paper. There you go, and irradiate for good measure, and I think that's probably got to be the game called, surely. The nuke really did hamstring Shambler's economy. The ion cannon obviously has absolutely eviscerated this situation, and yeah, has allowed, he's obviously on 3 bases to Veeq6 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5 bases. He's got the gas in the back, which kind of almost counts as a 6th because there's many more minerals in this base than in the default base. So we could even round up to 6. And yeah. Somebody take a screenshot of this message and then also of this. So that's all I want to see. Obviously could be building more Hatcherosks in his base, could be expanding, you know, etc. You're not really supposed to be able to easily access tier 3 no matter who you are. Unless you have like 4 or 5 bases or whatever, right? So nuke for good measure, just add salt to the wound. The Seraph able to deploy that now. So big ups on that, I suppose. Just showcasing the power of the Terran Crawl. And you know what? Like, Veeq adapted pretty well. I don't know how he anticipated the air units. He must have like spotted something related to them. Vorvikor is doing okay at withstanding this, but obviously that was the meat of the army over here. Not really a whole lot of anything else going on. Definitely could have done more damage in this situation, right? So yeah, I don't know what the Shambler is thinking. He's up to tier 3. He's going for the Zorki's Shroud upgrade. That's going to give him Ultra Cores, but I think it might be a little bit too late for them to make a huge difference. He has resaturated the space at least. I don't know if he killed the... yeah. I don't know if he... what he's exactly done. And yes, it's true. I don't know why the mine commands don't work sometimes. It's very weird. The Vithrilisks chasing the Seraph. Sure. Give me that irradiate. And yeah, the Salamanders will go ahead and clear them out. Now remember, at this point, Keyan is actually only at tier 2, whereas Veeq is obviously at tier 3, but the Salamander is 2.5. The idea that you would auto-magically have a solution to that seems a little bit silly. I do think Kagralisks would have helped him wonders if he was going to go ahead and try to fight this army. Because a lot of it was like the single-target mechs, right? It was like the Goliaths and stuff. He needed, you know, Bactylisks for the Vultures of low armor and stuff. And also to attack the Salamanders while they kite back from the Kagralisks. That would have probably helped quite a bit. This base, once again, denied. I think this one's going to be coming to an end very soon. I can't imagine them being able to come back. Maybe the Terran team ends up bungling. Veeq approaching 10k minerals over here. But yeah, here come the Vithrilisks. Or here come the units that are killing the Vithrilisks, I should say. The Seraph for observance is a big deal as well. Ion cannons reaching all the way down here. And there's the nuke right onto the resources. Now some Zargavrikors come out. Those are not too terrible as an idea, but you needed to split them over. Yeah, those completely clean house and a huge, massive army of Calculusks, which of course is no longer massive anymore because of a couple of ion cannon shots. That looked pretty good, actually. That looked pretty compelling. I think maybe Zargavrikors are in a spot where people should actually take a look at them a little bit more often. Their passive gives them huge damage against fast-attacking units or multi-attack units, right? Oh, okay, I'll take those Calculus. Yeah, fuck them up, dude. My reclaimed Tethzorikor is here. That's funny. We don't actually know what we're going to be doing with the Reclamation yet, but we obviously know what we're going to be doing with the Ion Cannon. We just haven't gotten the audio visuals for it. That's just insulting. That's funny. And he's out. All he managed to reclaim was a single Zethikor and a single Mason. Ah, that's not silly. It's just part of the game. I think his units are kind of bugged out, though. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, their passive is still enough to delete units, which is really funny, but I think they were having some meltdowns. Yeah, his Zargavrikors are really good. Especially since he has Kaffirlosks out, right? He can afford to... He actually... Does he have... I guess he is using Larvosks for his generic production. He's finally taken this base. Yeah, I would just ignore all of this salt in general. This part of the passive is not actually working intended. It's supposed to fire in an area around it. It's not actually supposed to track, like, the maximum distance it can fire is 3 shots. So the idea that it's actually responding to the threat or whatever is a bit silly. Yeah, it's a bit silly. Oh, there you go. Keyan ceding control. He's out of here. Off to the next set of game. Yeah, Mesk was talking about this in the post-game commentary. I recall him saying that, like, apostles are really silly or something. But I actually don't think that's a huge issue here. I mean, maybe I just wasn't seeing most of it in action, but it doesn't really feel like it was the main brunt of the attack, right? Like, that wasn't really the reason why they lost. They mostly lost this game on the bottom team because Keyan was unable to ever take his 4th, or he felt unable, I guess. He never did try. He didn't feel like he was able to take his 4th. He then became very far behind, economically speaking. Where's the nuke? I wonder. Oh, it's the Seraphs. Okay, they're nuking. I was going to say, I was looking for Mesk's Eidolons, but that's not what they were. Oh no, the Zarkaver cores are here! That's funny. That's a fucking broken interaction entirely with the projectiles, like, fly to the target. That's not how it should be. So there you go.
Nuclear launch detected.
Yeah, I think that's probably what Mesk was talking about. They didn't really make a huge impact in this game. And obviously are going to be taking a look at later. But no GG will be had. The Shambler is going to go ahead and also concede, and that is our series. So what have we learned today? If you zone in on harassing with a single bar guest, then you'll lose your units because you're not paying attention, and that will cause you to fast GG, even though you could actually still contribute to the win by buying time and coordinating with your ally. If you make a map where the distances are too far from the ramp and also from each other as a team, then one player can easily get ganged up on by 2 players, and I'm not really sure how you would resolve that. Certainly you wouldn't want that to be, like, resolved through balance explicitly, necessarily. And what else was there? Obviously, ion cannons and reclamation still need attention from a balancing standpoint, which we already knew. It's not really news. But at least we got some more data to back up that assertion. Now we can be even more sure of it, right? We also learned that Veeq and Mesk are not necessarily capable of closing a game in a timely manner. I think that's true for the first game and the third game. So there you have it. That was our cast over. We finally got another 2v2 on the board. Join me in the future for some more. Join the server for some more action and get in on this action yourself. Get yourself name in the lights because I cast your gameplay as well. And of course, stay tuned for future updates to CMBW and to our other work. And until then, coffee.